This is the story of Terrance Bud Crawford, a fighter from Omaha, Nebraska. He didn't just become a champion, he became one of the greatest boxers of all time. Terrance Crawford was born on September 28, 1987, in North Omaha, an environment where survival came before dreams. There were no boxing legends walking these streets, no shortcuts, no safety nets. What Omaha gave Crawford was grit. As a kid, he was constantly fighting, not in rings but in the streets. That aggression could have destroyed him. Instead, boxing saved him. Inside the gym, something clicked. That street instinct, the ability to switch from calm to chaos, became his greatest weapon. By the time he reached the amateurs, Crawford wasn't just winning, he was dominating. Over 70 amateur fights, national championships, and a reputation for being impossible to outthink. But even then, the world wasn't watching. Crawford turned professional in 2008. No hype, no Olympic gold, no superstar promotion. While others were fast-tracked, Crawford was ignored. He fought anyone anywhere on short notice. What made him different wasn't power alone, it was adaptability. Crawford could become whatever the fight demanded, and slowly, the wins stacked up, until one night in 2014 changed everything. March 2014, Scotland. Terrance Crawford walked into enemy territory to face Ricky Burns, the WBO lightweight champion. The crowd was hostile, the odds were against him. And then Crawford dismantled Burns, not with brute force but with intelligence. He switched stances, controlled distance, and took Burns apart round by round. When the final bell rang, there was no debate. Terrance Crawford was now a world champion, but this was only the beginning. Crawford moved up to junior welterweight, and history followed. First came Yuriorkis Gamboa, once a feared talent. Crawford broke him down, dropped him repeatedly and stopped him brutally. Then came Victor Postal, undefeated and dangerous. Crawford outboxed him so cleanly it looked unfair. And finally, Julius Indongo. 2 champions, 4 belts one night. Crawford became the first undisputed champion of the 4-belt era at 140 pounds. No controversy, no shortcuts, just domination. But greatness demands more. At welterweight, Crawford entered his prime. But the biggest fights avoided him because Terrance Crawford was too dangerous. Fighters talked about legacy but wouldn't sign the contract. So Crawford did what all-time greats do. He destroyed whoever stood in front of him. Jeff Horn, Kell Brook, and Shawn Porter. Each fight ended the same way. Crawford didn't just win, he broke them. Then came the moment the boxing world could no longer ignore. July 29, 2023. Terrance Crawford vs. Errol Spence Jr. Undefeated versus undefeated. Power versus precision. Truth versus truth. Many called it 50-50. Crawford dropped Spence early, controlled him completely, stopped him viciously. It was one of the greatest performances in boxing history. That night, Crawford became undisputed at welterweight, 2 weight classes, something no male boxer had ever done. At that moment, Terrance Crawford was no longer chasing greatness. He had caught it. Every legend needs a final chapter, and in this story that chapter is written against Canelo Alvarez. 2 kings, different weights, different paths, but the same hunger. This fight wasn't about belts, it was about legacy. Canelo, the face of boxing. Crawford, the most complete fighter of his generation. When the bell rang, history stood still. Canelo pressed forward and Crawford adapted as rounds passed. The chess match unfolded. Skill versus strength, mind versus power. And when it was over, Crawford proved that greatness isn't about size. It's about will. He wrote his name in the history books and the world will forever know him as one of the greatest of all time, retiring with a perfect record of 42 wins and no loses.